today I'm going to go further about what Yong Kai has talked about by focusing on food waste. Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about. So firstly, let's just have a brief review of all of those costs, not all of those, some biggest costs related to food waste, and then what are the reasons of having all of these food waste, and then we're going to take a look at some of the current solutions and what are the problems related to these solutions. Okay, so food waste, I don't need to explain, so all of these would be the food waste. Okay, so how much food waste we're producing every year in Singapore, so this is how much we're wasting. Okay, so weight is equivalent to 3,500 MRT trains. Oh my God, I can't imagine. Yeah, so what Singapore has done to deal with all of those wastes, basically only 16% has been recycled. So what is that recycling? Basically the food has been composted and then changed into all of those soil enhancement or some of the fertilizers. Okay, so this is the recycling. And then the rest all goes to the waste to energy plants. The food waste has been converted into some kind of the energy, right? Particularly electricity. So you may feel, okay, that's cool. Food waste converted to energy. Is that perfect? Actually, no. So later I'm going to let you know why that is not perfect. Okay, so let's focus on the very first topic. So what are the costs related to food waste? So of course, the most important or the most direct food waste cost would be the money we have spent. Okay, we spent and then we throw it for nothing. So of course, that is a financial cost, right? So other than that, there's also huge environmental cost. Okay, for example, the first important environmental cost would be its impact on the climate change. If we take a look at how does food waste, how food waste influences this or leads to this climate change, we will see the whole supply chain of producing, transporting, delivering, and then consuming, and then dealing with the food waste. Okay, so all contribute to this climate change. Okay, now think about this. When we try to produce all of those agricultural machines, okay, so we're using all of those petrol, all of those oil. Okay, and then when we try to use it to harvest, okay, to plant all of those crops, again we are producing all of those carbon dioxide, okay, methane. And then when we are trying to use or develop or produce all of these pesticides and then use these pesticides, again we're producing some of the toxic and then some of these greenhouse gases. Okay, so of course when we deal with the food waste, when we burn it, okay, so again we're producing this carbon dioxide and then other greenhouse gases. Okay, so basically a lot. Okay, and then of course now you may want to know, okay, some idea. Okay, so what is or how much greenhouse gas each kind of food is related to. Okay, so a lot of numbers, but what they mean. So let's just focus on one. What do these numbers mean? So basically these numbers tell us, for example, the greenhouse gas emission produced or coming from the production, transportation, processing of 110 grams of potato is equivalent to the greenhouse gas emission produced by a car running for 1 kilometer. And then of course, for 100 grams of beef, okay, so it will produce a greenhouse emission which is equivalent to a car running for 10 kilometers. Oh my God, we are producing that, okay, every year and every day. And then of course, when we produce food, we have to use water for irrigation. So of course, if we throw out the food, we're wasting water, right? So how much water are we wasting? Let's just focus on one. Okay, so this comes from the Water Footprint Organization. Take a look at the fruit. If we throw out 1 kilogram of fruit, we are wasting more than 900 liters of water. And then how about chicken? We eat chicken every day. If we throw out the chicken, okay, 1 kilogram, and then we are basically throwing out, or we are wasting the water of 4,000 liters. Okay, impressive, right? So, and of course, when we try to produce more food, okay, to meet the needs of bigger and bigger population, we are also eating up the current land. Okay, we have to convert the forest into the agricultural kind of field. We have to convert the wetland for the agricultural usage. And then what is the consequence? All of those animals and all of those other different kinds of plants, they will be eliminated. Okay, so this will influence the biodiversity. And at the same time, when we have to plant all of those crops, we are using the pesticide. So all of these pesticides and the other type of the chemicals will further erode the lands. Okay, so again, they will hurt their biodiversity. Okay, so that is the other type of. So let alone, when we throw out food, we're forgetting all of those people who are suffering. Okay, so many people, 842 million people, they are suffering from hunger. And so that is 1 in 8 people. Okay, so all of these, so this, when we call it as the social cost, but basically, we give up the opportunity of saving someone, okay, who might be far away from us, but they need the help. Okay, so we may wonder, so yes, we're wasting food, but where do those food waste come from? Okay, so basically, if you take a look at the source of the food waste, it comes from the whole supply chain. Okay, so according to some research in developing countries, most of the food losses will occur at the storage, transport, and processing levels. However, for Singapore, okay, we are a high-income country. Okay, most of the food losses actually occur at retail and consumer levels. Okay, so and then how do those kind of food waste come from? Okay, or where do they come from? How do they arise? Okay, so basically, if we take a look at our consumption habits, I would like ourselves to reflect ourselves. Okay, so what kind of food do we want to buy? We probably want to buy the beautiful apple, right? We want to buy some well-packed food, right? So some of the blemished banana, I don't want to buy, right? So because as the consumers, we demand such so-called as the high quality and safe food. Okay, so this will put some pressure onto the retailers, and then these retailers, they only want to get the food from the processor or from the farmers, but all of those very high quality food. Okay, so any fruits with the blemish, they are going to throw away. Okay, so all these come from basically consumers. We are the one who decide. Okay, and then of course at the same time, when those manufacturers, also called as the factories, if they have to process the food, they're going to try to achieve the highest efficiency level. So imagine they have to process some kind of vegetable. You cannot expect them to take a look at each piece of vegetable, right? So they have to use a big machine and then to do the mass chop. So this is why some part which we could eat, but now we have to throw it away. Okay, so that is for the mass production. Okay, so. And of course, don't forget, sometimes it's also because of the culture. I would see quite a few of our audience are maybe Chinese, right? So you may be aware that we have such a kind of culture. We want to always have some leftover. 年年有余. Okay? Always have some leftover so that we feel secured, right? Feel secure, and then we feel that we are wealthy, right? So this is another kind of contributor. Okay? So now, after reviewing all of those costs and then the source of the food waste, probably want to take a look at what are those solutions. So I guess Yong Kai also have shown this hierarchical management system. Okay, it is similar. Actually, this comes from NEA. So there are different levels of food waste management strategies. Of course, the least preferred would be to send the food waste to the waste-to-energy plants, and then follow. Better one would be to do some recycling. But as we know that now only 16% of food waste is being recycled. And then the even better one is, if it is possible, that we can redistribute the food that maybe the food that surplus food to people who are in need. The best way, of course, is to do something from every one of us. Okay, so we will try to prevent the food waste. Okay, so let's look at each different kinds of the solution. So is incineration good way of dealing with the food waste, because initially I've shared with you, right? So now food waste has been converted to energy. Is it perfect? Actually, no. Why? Because to work efficiently with a waste to energy incinerator, okay, we need to have the fuel with an average heat content of 5,000 to 5,500 BTU per pound. What does it mean? I don't know, but we just need to compare the number. Okay, so to be efficient, the heat content should be 5,000 to 5,500. However, we take a look at the food scrap. Okay, it only has a heat content of 2,600, which is only half. Okay, which is only half. Why? Because if you take a look at the food scrap, basically there are a lot of water, and then vegetable, and then fruit, which is low calorie. Okay, so that will make it difficult, okay, to fully utilize this incineration system. So of course, it will dilute the fuel of an incinerator, will make it less efficient. So which is why we don't think it's a very good way. Okay, and then we move on. How about the recycling? So currently, in Singapore, most of the recycling, please correct me if I'm wrong, okay, but most of the recycling is conducted by all of those kind of firms, right? The food manufacturers. Okay, so they basically collect some homogeneous food waste, including spent yeast grains from beer brewing, soybean waste, and bread waste. Okay, and then segregate at the source and then sell it to recyclers, and then recyclers are going to convert it to their animal food or the animal feed. Okay, so this comes from NEA. So please, yeah, if it is wrong, it's NEA's fault. Yeah. So that is basically the firm level, business level. Then how about the household level? Okay, and may I ask a question? Any of you are doing the composting at your home? Oh, perfect. We have two. I know my best friend has one. Oh, three. Okay, three. Okay, thank you. That's really appreciated. Okay, because if you take a look at the recycling rate, you will find the recycling rate for the domestic waste is much lower, okay, compared to the business recycling rate. Okay, so how to deal with the households kind of food waste would be a big issue. So another way would be the way adopted by these three best friends. Yeah. So to compost food at home. Okay, so there are different ways. One way is to use this kind of blue worm. Okay, mix it with the food scraps and then some other materials, and then put it into a container. Okay, so you may have such a concern. Is it smelly? Does it attract ants? Does it attract some insects? Probably. Yeah. So, but of course, if you are keen to know more, you can go to this website to learn from National Parks instruction. Another way, actually I got this idea from my best friend Ratna, because she wanted to buy such a machine. Then I tried to Google, and then I found that this kind of compost bin is available in Q10 in Lazada. And then, yeah, if we use it to compost, we don't need to have any worms. We just throw in all of those food scraps, and then it can help ventilate. There's no such smell. So this is according to its promotional message. Okay. So, but basically, I myself think this is really a good way. Okay, and it's not that huge. It's just the size of a microwave, not that huge. Okay. So the next one, redistribute. Okay. So I did some research, and I talked with some of these charity organizations. So currently, the redistribution of the unused food or the surplus food basically are facilitated by some of those charity organizations. For example, the Food Bank Singapore and the Willing Hearts, Food from the Heart. Okay, so last year I did a project with Food Bank Singapore, okay, to understand their process. So basically they collaborate with some of the food establishments, like hotel, like restaurants, like supermarkets. They collect those foods from them and then send it to the needies, okay, the beneficiaries. For example, some low-income households, okay, for example, for some kind of orphanage center, okay. So they are doing great job. However, there are still some problems because I help them with some survey. I try to understand that why a lot of people are not using this kind of service. Okay, so based on the survey with 269 residents in Singapore, okay, basically we found out 51% they don't know about Food Bank Singapore. Have you heard of it? Food Bank Singapore? No. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you are those 51%. But now you help increase the percentage, right? And then, yeah, 85% never donated food items to the collection box of the Food Bank Singapore. They have this collection box. Okay, have you done this before? I don't feel sorry, I haven't either. And then 27 believe that cooked food, expired food, and half-consumed food can be dropped into this collection box, which is totally wrong. Because, yeah, so what is expected to be dropped in? Non-perishable food. For example, some packed cereals, okay, some packed biscuits, okay, something like that. Okay, so this tells us a very sad story because those organizations are doing great things. However, the awareness level is still very low. Okay, so the issue is how can we increase their awareness level, increase the awareness level among our people, okay, so that we can be involved into this big campaign. And then there are some new solutions. Okay, so what is this new solution? Okay, so if you look at the food waste, basically we don't want to call it as the food waste. Instead, we want to call it the uncycled food, which is some food that is underutilized. Okay, so for example, some ugly fruits. Is it waste? It's not supposed to be the waste because we can still eat it. However, we don't eat it because it's ugly. Yeah, and then some of for example, the skin, the apple skin, sometimes we always need to peel the apple skin, right? And then we throw it away. But basically, the apple skin, we can still eat it in another way, right? So how to deal with these kinds of the upcycled food? Okay, there are some new solutions, which is we can convert it into this so-called as the value-added surplus products. Okay, for example, for the bananas that have turned brown, we probably feel, okay, it cannot be eaten. No, we can, okay? And we can turn these brown bananas into some ice cream. Okay, does it look very different? Not really, not really, because there's such experiments being done that people cannot tell the difference. Yeah, so do you want to try this kind of value-added food? Using ugly fruits, okay, to use maybe some smoothies, maybe some juice, okay, maybe such kind of the ice cream. Do you want to try? So probably not a bad idea, right? Okay, but according to the research that I am doing with my colleague in Australia and UK, we asked people, okay, if those underutilized food is made into vegetable powder or vegetable snack or fermented baby food, do you want to buy? So this is the results. 48% of Australian and 43% of the British, they want to buy, and then the rest, no. Why? So probably people feel it's not safe, okay? So different reasons. So that again, remind us, okay, so there are different ways of utilizing this food, okay, but we have to really be educated, okay, to accept this kind of new food. So of course, other than those solutions, I believe the ultimate solution would be every one of us, the consumers. So we have to practice so-called as the mindful consumption. Okay, so are we practicing mindful consumption? Okay, so these come from the research results that coming from a project I did last year. Okay, so our students and we did the survey with 269 Singaporean residents, mostly Singaporean, okay? Or some of them, they are PR, okay? And then we try to understand why they waste food, okay, despite they know that wasting food is bad. So this is the results, okay? So they are commenting that I'm not responsible, okay? Because 4 in 10, they don't think household is the main source of the food waste. Instead, those supermarkets, they are the one. Okay, those manufacturers, they are the one. And then 5 in 10 don't think individuals' effort matters for reducing food waste because those big players, they should play a better role. Okay, and then some of the comments, I didn't notice, Okay, so 5 in 10, they don't have this shopping or cooking plan. They go into the supermarket and then just grab anything that they like. Okay, so without a plan. And then 6 in 10, they buy more than needed during promotion. Okay, promotion tells you this is value for money. Okay, so why not take more? You take more and then waste more. Next would be some consumers, they comment, I'm not very sure what is best before, what is used by. Okay, so this actually can be educated. So the next reason is people comment that I think other things are more important. Okay, for example, some of them, they said, I'm a good provider for my family, I have to give the best food to my family. So any ugly fruits, I have to throw away. Okay, so anything that I think it will expire soon is not good. Okay, it may hurt my family's health, so I'm going to throw away. Okay, so the next one would be many people comment that convenience first. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, do you like that you will be in such a situation, you have some guests coming in and then you find out you don't have enough fruits? Many people don't like. So that is why they stock up a lot of fruits, a lot of fresh produce, in case, okay, they're going to need it anytime, but in the end they cannot use it up. And then we are producing this food waste. And then some people think that I deserve better. I work so hard. I deserve the best food, right? So I buy a lot of food, okay, to reward myself, and then in the end I cannot consume all of them. So, which again leads to the food waste. Okay, so these would be some kind of the obstacle, okay, to prevent us from practicing the mindful consumption. So that reminds us. Okay, so if we want to really reduce the food waste, we have to really be mindful when we consume the food. Okay, so how to be mindful? Okay, of course, my best suggestion is use Googling. Google. Okay, if we don't understand. Okay, so for this type of food, okay, how long we can have it? So after how long we must throw it away? So maybe we can just Google, right? And then of course. Before we do any shopping, we probably want to check what is in our fridge. Okay, we make sure we don't buy things that we don't need, right? We probably want to prepare a shopping list so that we don't do a lot of impulse purchase. Okay, and then I know 85% of the Singaporean, we eat out. We don't cook at home. Okay, and then according to the research, again, so the food that has been wasted most when we eat out is rice and noodle. Okay, so if we want to reduce it, we probably can just ask for a small proportion. Okay, so all of those will help us to reduce some avoidable waste, and then there are some unavoidable waste. What does it mean? Do you know what this is? What is it? Guess.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. Who said broccoli? Perfect. You're right. This is broccoli stock. Do you eat it?
Yes.
Perfect.
I do.
How do you eat it? Auntie?
I cook it.
Okay, how do you cook it?
Mainly for soup also.
Oh, mainly for soup. But basically you don't throw it, right? Perfect. Yeah, because I know some people, they throw it away, which is a waste, right? So we can always try to be creative, because if you compare the nutrition information, okay, between the stalk and the flower and the crown, basically they are the same. Okay, so we shouldn't throw it away. So we can always try to be creative to reduce this type of waste by converting it into very nice dishes. So of course, we're together, right? Towards zero waste. Okay, so how to go towards the zero waste regarding the food waste? Okay, so please note, this comes from NEA's research again. Right? So half of the food thrown away by Singapore households can be avoided. Okay, we should do something from ourselves, okay, or by ourselves. We should try to practice mindful consumption, okay, by maybe learning from each other, maybe learning from the internet, okay, or maybe learning from the source that Yong Kai shared with us just now. Okay, so that's it. So any question? You can send an email to me or put it into our Slido. Okay. Shall we? Thank you.